Hi, I'm Joel Wagner. My student number is 32321187. This is my project report for BRD 210 World of Sport. Today I'm going to be speaking about the problem that's just arising in the NBA this year, really coming to fruition, and that is the exploitation of fouling players off the ball. Now, it's really ruining the aesthetic qualities of the game. The NBA has some massive decisions to make in this off-season in regards to what they're going to do about the rule. And they'll be taking opinions from a lot of different invested parties that I'll speak about a little bit later in the presentation. The rule itself, it's in the NBA rulebook, page 46, section 5, and it states that each team is limited to 14 fouls per regulation period without additional penalties. Common fouls charged as team fouls in excess of 4 will be penalised by 1 free throw attempt plus a penalty free throw attempt. So pretty much once you get to 4 fouls in the game of basketball in a quarter, that next foul, the 5th foul, is going to send a player to the free throw line. Here's an example that I actually just saw this morning in the Eastern Conference Finals of this happening. Look in the bottom left of your screen, you'll see Tristan Thompson getting fouled off the ball.
I agree with you as we see this right here, Reg. I hope that we don't change the rule for 6 bad free throw shooters, 7 bad free throw shooters, because what about the parity across the world? There's little kids in Greece, Germany shooting free throws right now, and they're not saying there's no hack or whoever, so...
It's quite funny that in that clip you can actually hear NBA great Chris Webber commenting himself on what he thinks should happen to the rule and the fact that really for 6 or 7 players that can't shoot free throws in the league, he doesn't think they should change it. But as you can see, the team just blatantly fouls a player off the ball, sends him to the free throw line. Now, the point of this for a team is to reduce the scoring efficiency of the opposition team and to put the pressure on the opposition coach to sub that player out. Quite often, the player that isn't a good free throw shooter is actually going to be one of your best defenders and rim protectors in the NBA, pretty much because they're tall, long, and great defensively. Now, I guess we need to explain what the actual problem is with this rule and how it's affecting the game. As I said, the NBA has a massive aim really to provide the best environment and the best basketball in the world, and it really emphasises the entertainment qualities that it brings to the game. So they place a really high value on the aesthetics of the game. They're really interested in keeping game times down so that fans don't have to stay at games for long periods of time. Obviously, if teams are constantly fouling, it slows the game down substantially. It reduces the entertainment of the game, less dunks, less three-pointers, less open court plays. And this is really going to affect some key stakeholders in the NBA if it keeps developing and becomes a problem for every single team. Ultimately, if the NBA keeps putting an entertaining product on the floor, it's going to lead to higher revenues for all stakeholders. And that can range from your ticketing sales, TV rights, merchandise, online viewing channels, and that's just to name a few. Now, it's funny, I guess, at the moment there's probably 6 or 7 players in the NBA, as Chris Webber alluded to, that actually have a free throw playing problem. Adam Silver, who's the NBA general manager, has alluded to this constantly, and he's actually been quoted as saying, when we look at the data, it's not clear that people are actually changing the channel. In some cases, he feels that people are actually fascinated by the strategy and how teams are using it to their advantage in the game. Now, one of the key things for the NBA is engaging casual fans. So with Adam Silver having made this comment, for people that understand basketball and watch it regularly, maybe it is something interesting to watch. But for a casual fan that just switches on from a different sport or is from a different sport, this could be a drama because they want to turn on, they want to see the best quality product they can. Ultimately, the NBA has the power to make the changes. So they're going to go away this off-season once the NBA finals are finished and speak to some other invested parties, find out what they're all thinking and make a decision. Moving on to my next invested party that I'll be discussing, I'm going to talk about teams and management. Now, much like the NBA, all of the teams, it's funny actually, the NBA don't have a mission statement, but all of the teams seem to have a mission statement. And in that mission statement, there always arises the fact that entertainment is one of their key points of emphasis. So, for example, the Chicago Bulls, their mission statement reads, the Chicago Bulls organization is a sports entertainment company dedicated to winning NBA championships. growing new basketball fans, and providing superior entertainment value and service. So it's pretty funny, they don't even state in their opening sentence of their mission statement that they're a basketball club. They're talking about entertainment. They are trying to entertain. One of the key arguments is that this free throw issue and this fouling issue that slows the game down and makes us watch the worst free throw shooters in the league shoot constantly is not entertaining whatsoever. The next people that I'll speak about is the coaches and the players. Now, there's a very mixed response to this topic from many coaches and players, and it's important to note that a lot of bias will be coming from people that have players that are getting fouled on their teams and players and coaches that don't have these people on their teams. Obviously, if you're one of these players that's getting fouled constantly, perhaps it's going to reduce your stock. Perhaps it's going to reduce how much money that you could make in the following year because you've got a major disadvantage with the way the rule is being called constantly. For the coaches and players, they're pretty much going to play to however the rules are set. That's something that can't be changed. The next people that I would say are probably one of the most important stakeholders are the fans. Now, the fans don't want to go to a game and sit there for 3.5 to 4 hours, especially during a playoff game when you have TV timeouts and stuff like that, and watch a game. It doesn't make for entertaining basketball, and it makes for a very long night out, especially for families. So I think the fans are ultimately going to be the ones that give the sway to the NBA to make a decision. Fans are also going to show a lot of bias towards the teams that they're a part of. Finally, I'll just talk about some of the implications to the problem and the solutions to the problem. So if the NBA do decide to change a rule, at the moment it sounds like they won't. It's going to speed the game up and clean it up, making it a nice open flowing game for all people involved. The issue for the NBA is they're going to get hammered for catering for only 5, 6, 7 NBA players who really shoot the ball below 50-55% from the free throw line. Now, a lot of the arguments out there are, especially from players, from the general managers, from fans, that why would we change a rule when there's only 6 or 7 players in the league that can't shoot free throws out of 20 team, there's hundreds and hundreds of players in the NBA. So you're talking about a very small sample size. They'll also be disadvantaging the teams that have got good free throw shooters. So now when a team gets into the bonus, if they change the rule that way and they don't get to shoot free throws, well, that becomes a disadvantage. The other thing that I slightly touched on earlier is some of these players. One good example is DeAndre Jordan at the moment. His stock is right up. He's coming into free agency, and next season he stands to make a lot of money and sign a long-term deal. If they change the rule in this off-season, it's really going to implicate his contract, and I'm sure he would have something to say about that. If they were to leave the rule unchanged, which I see happening, and it's something that personally I would probably leave it, there is going to be times where this rule really comes to the play, and especially when two teams are playing each other that we've just seen in the Western Conference Finals, it amplifies the issue. So both teams in parts of the Western Conference Finals were fouling each other constantly and are made for viewing times of over 3.5 hours. So we are going to see some dramas with certain matchups in the league. The NBA and teams do, in that case, risk losing some fans to other sports and possibly losing some revenue. And there's also a lot of future implications for all the different revenue streams in the NBA. So really, on a personal note, I would say they shouldn't be changing the rule. It's a rule that's been in place for a very long time. I would expect the NBA to stick with it for another couple of years and see how it goes. And if I had any advice for the players out there, I would say go and practice your free throws because you're going to be shooting a lot of them in years to come. Thank you for listening to my project report. And yeah.